kijkt naar deze nieuwe video. Mijn naam is Eva en ik heb de key gevonden. En we gaan hier naar de Kaag door en we gaan luisteren naar 2 manieren. Ik ben benieuwd.
Ik ook.
Jij ook?
San Francisco, California in the United States. I want to thank you all for coming here today. My talk today, basically I'm a big supporter of having big and difficult conversations and asking tough questions of ourselves, because I think that's when real change starts to happen. And the more we can adapt our strategies and tactics to the changing times, the more effective I think that we all can be. And in order to do that, we need to critically evaluate our movements past and present in order to build a more successful future. So before I get started, I just want to talk a couple things about myself and my ideas to keep in mind over the course of this presentation. So the first one is I am vegan. I've been vegan for over 20 years. I think it's an important piece of a compassionate lifestyle, and I think it's an important step towards a more just future. And I'm not encouraging anyone not to be vegan and not talk about vegan or do vegan outreach or anything like that. Second, I'm a believer in utilizing every strategic tool in the toolbox, meaning we should be open to new strategic ideas, people, and movements, even if they don't fit into the mold our current movement has created for itself over the past few decades. We were called the Shack Seven, so there's 6 people in one organization, and we were tried as domestic terrorists in the United States for running this campaign. Eventually I was found guilty. I was sentenced to 48 months in federal prison, which I did in 2 prisons in Southern California. Ingredients that are animal derived and lists of things that might be animal derived, and we're told to memorize this and not to mess it up. And we instill this sense of fear into people by making the primary goal of veganism as not to make a mistake. That you need to be 100% committed to this for the rest of your life or we will outcast you, and I think that's a lot of pressure and I think it takes a real toll. So much more if we share with and support those in other liberation struggles. If we fight side by side with them, rather than insisting they rise to our level, if we recognize our quest for purity is what's really holding us back. If we recognize that liberation means so much more to so many people beyond just the idea.
Pauze en we hebben ontzettend lekkere.
Ginger, citroen, poppy seeds, zaadjes. Hij is super lekker.
Hij valt alleen uit elkaar, dus sorry Kiwi, je moet hem even 2 tellen vasthouden. Goed gebeurd. Discussies over de eerste lezing. Het geeft stof tot nadenken, deze lezing.
Denk ik heel erg met hem eens.
Ja, niet labelen, maar het nadenken. Op naar deel 2.
Kind of crazy. It began with one of the editors-in-chief of the Vegan magazine, right after I turned vegan, asking me to write a column to give a different perspective to veganism, because she's like, I don't want it to be seen as this like white chick thing. A white guy comics could speak for, to universal methods of thought or modes of thought, particular argument. And I'll get into a little bit why with these questions that people usually ask when I say something like this is inappropriate. So one of the big questions is, you know, the obvious is there's so many parallels between speciesism and racism. You know, like, so why is it inappropriate? And you know, like, black people, we have rights now. It's not like the same thing. We're still not the essentials of what people think about other groups. So what usually happens is your first reaction is to just kind of be shocked. Oh, I didn't mean it, because you don't want to offend anybody. And then what happens is this conversation usually focuses on the feelings of the person who said the offensive comment instead of the impact.
First, gonna ask Elliot and Jake about their comments about this.
What I would say is what we have to begin with is actually discussions like this. This is a great way to begin, because we have to talk. We're not going to figure out what we're going to do unless we talk.
In that sense, there is a very good book called Eternal Triplinka, and it's very, very difficult, but it's very good, where he doesn't say, well, you know, Holocaust and assault on women and assault on people with different sexual identity or whatever. It's all the same, but instead it says like they all originate from similar concepts.
It's our responsibility to listen, it's our responsibility to have these conversations with one another, but it's also our responsibility to recognize that we are going to make mistakes and that we're going to say things that are uncomfortable. We're going to say things that are going to be racist, that are going to be sexist, that are going to be homophobic. because they are ingrained in us.
Ik vond het leuk, ik vond het interessant. Ik hoop dat ik geen eten tussen mijn tanden heb. Veel
Om over na te
for
denken.
thought. We hebben een discussie gehad met z'n allen. Dus we hebben duidelijk allemaal verschillende meningen. We zijn niet allemaal één cult die hetzelfde denken. Maar het was interessant.
Leuk.
Ja.
Zus, ook nog wat aan te melden?
Eens.
Eens.
Ik sluit me er helemaal
Ho,
bij aan.
hoi.
Heel veel dingen gehoord waar ik het over het algemeen gewoon allemaal eens mee ben. Sommige dingen niet helemaal, maar dat is leuk in zo'n beweging, dat niet iedereen hetzelfde is.
Daar leer je van.
Ja, daarom. En van discussie, daar houden we van.
Kijk of dit kan.
2 keer spring roll voor pizza.
Ja,
Ja, die ene. Smaakt het? Ja? Weet je wat?
moet je zien jongens, dit ziet er toch goddelijk uit.
Lekker hè?
12 dagen bezig hè? Nog 8 dagen.
Ja, maar niet voor je gezondheid of zo, maar je voelt je er gewoon veel lekker.
Het was een leuke geslaagde dag. En hopelijk zien jij nog een keertje. Hadden ze het over? Ik ben benieuwd. En ik ben ook wel heel lekker gegeten. En zie je nu de volgende keer. Commentaar laat ik weer beneden achter.